On July 1st, 2025, an automated telescope system in Chile picked up something that made astronomers around the world stop what they were doing. A fast-moving object had just been spotted racing toward the sun, and within hours, scientists confirmed something that had only happened twice before in recorded human history. This thing did not come from our solar system. It came from somewhere out there, from the depths of interstellar space, and it was moving faster than almost anything we have ever tracked. Telescopes lit up, observatories across the globe turned their lenses toward the same patch of sky. And within days, the object had a name that would soon be whispered across every space forum, every science channel, and every late-night conversation about whether we are truly alone in this universe. 3I Atlas. Now here is the part that should make your skin crawl a little. This object was not just fast. It was moving at roughly 130,000 miles per hour, later refined to an almost unbelievable 152,000 miles per hour relative to the Sun, which made it, in that moment, the fastest object ever observed moving through our solar system. To put that into perspective, a commercial airplane cruises at around 550 miles per hour. This thing was moving nearly 300 times faster than that, on a straight, flat, hyperbolic path that told scientists something chilling. It was never going to slow down, it was never going to orbit our sun, and it was never going to stay. It came from somewhere unknown. It was going to swing past our solar system like a stone skipping across a pond, and then it was going to vanish back into the dark forever. For a few tense days in early July 2025, nobody knew exactly what they were looking at. Was it an asteroid? Was it a comet? Was it something else entirely? The uncertainty alone was enough to spark a wave of anxiety online. Because whenever an unexplained object races toward the inner solar system at record-breaking speed, the first question everyone asks is the same one. Is it heading for us? NASA and the International Astronomical Union moved quickly to calm the panic. They confirmed that 3I Atlas posed no threat to Earth, and that it would pass at a safe distance, never coming closer than about 1.6 astronomical units, which is roughly 150 million miles away from our planet. But here is the twist that kept the story alive, instead of letting it fade into a footnote. This was only the third interstellar object ever detected in the history of astronomy. The first was the strange, cigar-shaped Oumuamua spotted in 2017, an object so oddly shaped and so strangely accelerated that some scientists still argue about what it actually was. The second was Borisov, discovered in 2019, a comet that eventually broke apart into pieces as it swept past the sun. And now here was the third one, arriving 8 years later, bigger, faster, and stranger than both of its predecessors combined. Let's rewind for a second and really sit with what discovering an interstellar object even means. Everything else in our solar system, every planet, every moon, every asteroid, every ordinary comet, formed here, orbiting our sun, bound by its gravity for billions of years. An interstellar object is different. It was born around another star, in another part of the galaxy, possibly billions of years before our own solar system even existed. It has been drifting through the frozen emptiness between star systems for unimaginable stretches of time, occasionally getting flung faster and faster by the gravity of stars it passes near, like a cosmic slingshot. And then, by pure chance, its path happened to cross ours. For a brief window, we get to see something that has never touched a planet, never orbited a star like ours, and will disappear again the moment it leaves. This is not something that happens often. In fact, some scientists estimate it happens so rarely that we may be lucky to catch a handful of these encounters per century. Once astronomers confirmed 3I Atlas was real and heading toward the inner solar system, the biggest space observatories in the world turned their attention toward it. The Hubble Space Telescope, the James Webb Space Telescope, the Transiting Exoplanets Survey Satellite, even ground-based observatories in Chile and Hawaii. On July 21st, 2025, Hubble caught its clearest image yet, and it is genuinely one of the most striking astronomical photographs of the year. In that image, taken as the comet passed within roughly 227 million miles of Earth, Hubble captured what NASA described as a teardrop-shaped cocoon of dust trailing behind the object. Because Hubble had to track the object as it raced along its hyperbolic path, the background stars in the photo appear as long streaks of light, while 3I Atlas itself sits frozen and sharp in the center, glowing with a strange halo of dust and gas. Futurism. That image alone should have been enough to satisfy curiosity. Instead, it opened the door to one of the strangest scientific controversies of the year. Here is where the story stops being a simple comet passes by headline and turns into something that had people arguing on every corner of the internet. Hubble's observations allowed scientists to estimate the size of the object's solid core, hidden beneath its cloud of dust, placing the upper limit at roughly 3.5 miles across, with a lower limit of about 1,000 feet. That is an enormous range, and even at the smaller end, This is a genuinely massive object hurtling through space. Some early estimates floated the possibility that its nucleus could be as wide as 12 miles across, roughly the length of Manhattan Island stacked end to end. Later, analysis pointed to a mass in the tens of billions of tons. Space.com. Now, most objects of this size that move through interstellar space are exceptionally rare, and that rarity is exactly what caught the attention of one particular scientist who would go on to make headlines around the world. Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb has built something of a reputation for suggesting that mysterious interstellar objects might not be natural at all. He was the same scientist who, years earlier, floated the idea that Oumuamua could have been an alien artifact rather than an ordinary asteroid, a claim that divided the scientific community and made him something of a lightning rod in astrophysics circles. When 3I Atlas showed up, Loeb did it again. His argument centered on a statistical oddity. If 3I Atlas really is as large as some estimates suggest, then based on how rare heavy interstellar material is believed to be, we should have already detected somewhere around 100,000 smaller interstellar objects before ever stumbling onto something this size, but we haven't. Loeb pointed out that we have only detected 2 interstellar objects before this one, which he argues makes the sheer size of 3I Atlas abnormal enough to at least consider the possibility that it isn't simply an oversized natural comet. He went further, suggesting the object could, in theory, be something manufactured, something technological, even floating the idea of it being propelled by some kind of engineered mechanism rather than natural outgassing. Loeb made clear this was speculative, but the phrase alone, that a Harvard astrophysicist was entertaining the idea that a 3-mile-wide object racing through our solar system might not be entirely natural, was enough to set the internet on fire. Yahoo! Naturally, the mainstream scientific community pushed back. The vast majority of astronomers studying 3I Atlas maintain that the evidence overwhelmingly points to it being a comet, just an unusually large, unusually old, and unusually fast one. And the data does support that. Hubble's images showed a dust plume streaming from the sun-facing side of the object, along with the earliest hints of a tail forming as sunlight began heating its icy surface, both classic signatures of ordinary cometary behavior. Spectral analysis later confirmed the object was releasing gas and dust, in patterns consistent with sublimating ice, not some artificial propulsion system. Even Loeb himself has repeatedly said that the far more likely explanation is that this is simply a comet, just one so old and so unusual that it forces us to rethink what these objects can look like. Wikipedia. But probably a comet doesn't mean an ordinary one. And this is where things get genuinely strange, because everything scientists have learned about 3I Atlas since that first sighting keeps adding layers of mystery rather than resolving them. Start with its age. Researchers from the University of Michigan and Michigan State University published an analysis suggesting that based on its extreme velocity relative to the Sun, 3I Atlas could be anywhere from 3 to 11 billion years old. Let that sink in for a moment. Our entire solar system, our Sun, our planet, every living thing that has ever existed here, is only about 4.6 billion years old. This comet may have been drifting through the galaxy since before our Sun even ignited. It has potentially witnessed the birth of stars, the death of stars, entire cosmic epochs, long before the first single-celled organism ever appeared on Earth. Some researchers have gone even further, suggesting the object may have originated from the thick disk of our galaxy, an ancient region of the Milky Way populated by some of the oldest stars we know of, meaning 3I Atlas could genuinely be older than the solar system itself. Futurism, then there's the trajectory. Scientists determined that 3I Atlas did not pass close enough to any planet in our solar system to have picked up its extraordinary speed through a gravitational assist, meaning its velocity was baked in long before it ever arrived here. It also has a tilted orbital path. Relative to the plane, most objects in our solar system travel along, carrying it well above and below where the planets orbit, further reinforcing that this thing was never part of our neighborhood to begin with. Wikipedia. As the months rolled on through late 2025 and into 2026, more data kept surfacing, and each new discovery added another strange detail to the file. Astronomers used the European Space Agency's spacecraft near Mars, along with missions like Janus and JUICE, to catch glimpses of the comet as it swept past the red planet on its trajectory through the inner solar system. By April of 2026, researchers reported that the object's gas and dust tail had stretched out to an astonishing 5 million kilometers from its nucleus, with comparable cometary tails known to extend up to 10 million kilometers in extreme cases. Picture that for a second. A tail of gas and dust longer than 10 times the distance between the Earth and the Moon, trailing behind a nucleus that might only be a few miles wide. Wikipedia. Then, in early 2026, scientists made a discovery that reignited public fascination all over again. Analysis of the comet's composition revealed something researchers had never encountered before in any object from our own solar system: an unusual form of water, chemically distinct from anything typically found in comets that formed here at home. For a story that had already captured public imagination with its size, speed, and age, the idea that this thing was carrying water unlike anything in our solar system's chemical inventory felt like confirmation that we truly were looking at a genuine relic from somewhere else entirely. A fragment of another star system's history delivered right to our doorstep. And then, of course, came the search for something even bigger. If Avi Loeb's speculation about artificial origins had planted a seed of doubt in the public consciousness, scientists at SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, decided to actually test it. In mid-2026, researchers pointed radio telescopes directly at 3I Atlas, scanning for any signal that might indicate some kind of transmission, some kind of technological signature buried in that ancient, tumbling mass of ice and dust. The results came back clean. No unexplained signals, no transmissions, nothing beyond ordinary background interference generated by human technology here on Earth. For many, this was the moment that should have closed the book on the alien spacecraft theory for good. And yet, even that silence didn't fully kill the fascination, because as any seasoned observer of these stories will tell you, the absence of a signal doesn't prove the absence of intention. It simply proves that whatever this object is, it isn't calling home in a frequency we happen to be listening for. Meanwhile, the practical astronomy continued. As 3I Atlas moved deeper into the solar system, it made a series of flybys that gave scientists front row seats to study it in ways that had never been possible with Oumuamua or Borisov. It swept past Mars in October 2025, close enough for spacecraft orbiting the red planet to attempt observations. It made its closest approach to Earth in December 2025, though, even at its nearest, it stayed safely more than 100 million miles away, never posing any threat to our planet. And by March 2026, the comet made a flyby of Jupiter, the final major planetary encounter before it began its long, irreversible journey back out of the solar system, never to return. By that point, 4 of the most powerful telescopes ever built, Hubble, James Webb, TESS, and the infrared observatory SphereX, had all turned their instruments toward the same target, an unprecedented level of scientific attention for any single interstellar visitor. And rather than settling the debate, the layered data from each instrument made the object feel even stranger. Researchers noted that, unlike a typical comet, Hubble's images revealed a teardrop-shaped cocoon of dust surrounding the nucleus, without featuring the kind of distinct, elongated tail most comets develop as they approach the sun. Some scientists proposed that the ice inside 3I Atlas might have been exposed to significantly higher levels of cosmic radiation over its billions of years, drifting through the galaxy compared to anything native to our solar system, which could explain some of its unusual behavior. Others suggested it may have originally formed near the carbon dioxide ice boundary of whatever ancient star system birthed it, a detail that could explain the strange chemical signatures researchers kept detecting in its outgassing. Futurism. Every one of these findings, taken individually, sounds like ordinary, if fascinating, astronomy. But taken together, they paint the picture of an object that keeps refusing to behave like anything we have cataloged before. It's too fast. It's potentially too old. It's potentially too large, given how rare objects like it are supposed to be. Its water doesn't match anything native to our neighborhood. Its tail doesn't look quite like a typical comet's tail. And the scientist who first floated the idea that an interstellar object might not be entirely natural is now watching this one just as closely, waiting, as he has said publicly, for any sign of a major unexpected change in its trajectory, something that would be nearly impossible to explain through natural forces alone. To be absolutely clear, nothing detected so far confirms anything artificial about 3I Atlas. The overwhelming scientific consensus remains that this is a comet, an old one, a fast one, an unusually large one, but a comet nonetheless, obeying the same basic physics that govern every icy wanderer that has ever streaked past our sun. SETI's search came back empty. The chemical signatures, while unusual, are within the range of what an ancient, well-traveled ball of ice and dust could plausibly produce. And every major flyby, past Mars, past Earth, past Jupiter, has followed the exact hyperbolic trajectory predicted by ordinary gravitational calculations, without a single unexplained deviation. But here's why this story refuses to die down, why it keeps trending, why channels across the internet keep returning to it month after month. It isn't really about whether 3I Atlas is an alien spacecraft. It's about what its very existence represents. This is only the 3rd confirmed interstellar visitor in the entire history of human astronomy. And some scientists believe that as many as 10,000 similar objects could be passing through our solar system at any given moment, most of them simply too small, too dark, or too far away for us to ever notice. Every single one of them is a fragment of a story we will almost certainly never fully know. A piece of another star system, shaped by forces in chemistry we have never directly observed, carrying inside it the frozen chemical memory of wherever it came from, and drifting for possibly billions of years through the black silence between the stars. Before, purely by chance, brushing past our own tiny corner of the galaxy. And 3I Atlas is now leaving. Having swept past Mars, past Earth, and past Jupiter, it is racing back out into interstellar space at that same staggering speed of roughly 150,000 miles per hour, and it will never come this way again. Whatever secrets remain locked inside its ancient, icy core, whatever chemical fingerprints of a long-dead star system it still carries, whatever answers scientists have yet to extract from the mountain of data collected by Hubble, Webb, and every other instrument that watched it pass, all of it has to be figured out now in these final months and years while the object is still close enough to study, because once it slips back into the dark beyond the edge of the solar system, it is gone forever. No second visit, no follow-up mission, no do-over. That, more than any single headline about alien engines or ancient water or record-breaking speed, is what makes this discovery worth paying attention to. We live at a moment in history where our technology has finally become sensitive enough to catch these fleeting interstellar messengers as they pass by, decades or centuries apart, carrying secrets from other corners of the galaxy that no human being will ever be able to travel to and see for ourselves. 3I Atlas arrived without warning on a July morning in 2025, tore through our solar system faster than anything we had ever tracked, forced some of the smartest scientists on the planet into open disagreement about whether we might be looking at something engineered rather than natural, and is now vanishing back into the darkness it came from, leaving us with nothing but photographs, spectral data, and a whole lot of unanswered questions. Was it just an old, unusually large comet drifting the galaxy for billions of years before crossing paths with us by pure cosmic chance? Or did we, for a few short months, have a front row seat to something we don't fully understand yet, something that future generations of scientists, armed with better telescopes and better data, might one day look back on and realize we were closer to a genuine mystery than we ever gave ourselves credit for? Right now, nobody can say for certain, and maybe that uncertainty, and that small nagging possibility that we don't yet have the full picture, is exactly why this story from the summer of 2025 refuses to fade away, and why every new piece of data that comes in from 3I Atlas as it races back out into the dark keeps pulling people back in, wondering, just for a moment, what else might be quietly moving through the space above our heads that we haven't spotted yet.